Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of your very own channel, the Student Insights Podcast. This is the second episode in the IELTS series, the first one which was uploaded last week, in which I gave an overview for all the four modules of the IELTS test. Today's episode is all focused about the listening module, in which I would be giving you tips that you can use for the kind of questions that are asked in this module so that you can crack them and have a better chance of getting a higher band in your IELTS test. Please make sure to watch the first episode in the IELTS series if you have missed it, because that will give you a very good overview of the test, and so that you can bounce back to this episode for deep discussion or information about the listening module. Before I begin the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that you get notified as soon as the next video is uploaded. Also, do not forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The handles are the Student Insights Podcast. So let's begin to this episode. Okay, so let's begin this episode with a small revision about what the listening test contains. So firstly, it has 4 parts, from each part having 10 questions, and with the progressive parts, the test might get tougher. When I mean getting tougher, I mean the communication or the conversation may become a little more indirect, or may have a certain accent, or they may introduce some kind of background noise into the audio to kind of make it difficult for you to understand it. But nothing to worry, I have some tips for that as well down in the episode, so please make sure to watch till the end. Also, in the listening test, you actually need to do 3 things together. First is you have to listen to the audio. Second, you have to read the questions, and third, you have to write the answers simultaneously. And please bear in mind that the audio will be played only once, it is not repeated. So if you miss something from the audio, you have kind of missed it for good. So please be very attentive while the test is happening. Also, in the end, you get 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the question sheet to the answer sheet. So what do I mean by that? I would be explaining it further down below. So let's now get deep into what the listening test is, how you can crack it, how you can have a better chance of scoring a good band so that you get a very good scoring and you can apply for the university you're dreaming about. Now, there are some things you need to keep in mind for this test. First is you need to be very attentive, and you need to kind of practice on developing your focus and concentration for a little longer time. The audio generally takes around 30 minutes for the entire duration of its play length. So on and off, you need to have a concentration power for about 25 to 30 odd minutes. You can develop this by listening to certain podcasts, listening to radio shows, watching some English movie channels, some English shows, because that will help you in kind of increasing your focus power as well as in helping you developing a vocabulary level. Second is develop your listening skills. For this, as I mentioned, you can listen to audiobooks. If you are somebody like me who doesn't like reading, audiobooks are a very good help. You can do your work but still kind of train your ears to listen to the English language, and with listening to different shows as well. So like you can listen to BBC, to the BBC network. It comes online. What will happen with this kind of radio shows that are locally hosted in different countries is you will get used to listening to different accents. So when you listen to say a kind of a BBC Radio 1, that has accents for people from central London to different parts of UK. And then if you listen to BBC Asian Network, if you belong to the Asian continent, then you will listen to different Hindi songs, English songs, and you have people from different origins speaking English in different accents. So this helps you and yourself in training for different accents and making yourself familiar with those accents and the kind of speech they use, the kind of slangs, how do they take pauses. This will also help you in kind of anticipating the statement and predicting the answers. Third is, as I mentioned, you need to practice multitasking, because you will be listening to the audio at the same time your eyes would be on the question. So you need to be reading the questions, read the options if they're MCQs, as well as writing down the answers according to the given directions in the questions. So you need to practice it. It wouldn't just happen on the day of the test. You need to do that while practicing. And the last is increase your vocabulary. That is very much important, not only for the listening test, but this will also help you for reading as well as writing and speaking, because even for the writing modules that would be covered in a separate episode down the coming weeks, and that you need to use synonyms if you're kind of giving the same message, because that gives the examiner a very good idea about your word resources, your word pool, how well versed you are with the different words in the same language. So please make sure to kind of learn new words while reading some new books, articles, or if you're listening to audiobooks, if you find something difficult, you can look at the meanings, or you could make a habit of actually looking at 5 new words every day, or 10 words during a week, depending upon your schedule and how flexible you are and how interested you are into this, because having a good vocabulary would definitely help you in scoring a good higher band in the IELTS test. So these are some of the pointers that you need to keep in your mind for not only this test specifically, but for the entire IELTS test. Now next, we'll move on to the type of questions that are covered into all these sections. The first one is the fill in the tables. So like you can see on the screen, the tables are usually about conversation or are usually information driven. So in this situation, as you can see, it is about a reservation for a restaurant. But a very big pointer or a heads up here is you need to read the question very carefully. Now if you read this, as you can see on the screen, it says write no more than 2 words and / or a number. So this is a very big hint. They have already emphasized this by keeping everything in uppercase and as well as keeping it bold. So this is your clue for the amount of word count for your answers. So it says no more than 2 words. That means that the answer could be a single word or a maximum of 2 words or a single number. Even if your answer is correct, but if you have 3 words, you won't be marked as positive for that, because the instructions were pretty clear that you need to give the answer in a maximum word count of 2. So you need to be very attentive about that while reading the questions. And also, every table that you see will have a heading, and this it says about a restaurant. So as soon as you see that keyword, you need to be able to kind of anticipate the kind of question or the conversation that you would be expecting. So and you would also be given some time to read it, because what happens is, and usually the first one is solved. It's only that portion of the question or the conversation in the audio which would be repeated, and that is also your chance, to kind of raise your hand if your headphones aren't working, because usually what happens is everybody sits down at the same time and the audio recording is either played on a set of headphones that are provided to each candidate, or they are played on a loudspeaker. So if you're having problems with your headphones, they're not working properly, if the audio is not audible, this is a time to raise your hand and ask for your help, because once the audio recording starts, they will not stop for anybody, and it's not repeated. So please make sure they also play a small sample audio before the actual test is played. This is the basic reason behind this is, again, to figure out any technical difficulties that any candidate is experiencing. So please make sure to check your headphones thoroughly before the test audio starts, so that you are in a good place and you do not end up losing something. So with this first type of question, the tables, the first one has already been solved and you can actually skim through. You should also be able to read quickly and read important questions, read important keywords. Also, while reading questions, make sure to mark the keywords, because what happens is once you are your mind is focusing on the audio, and you have to also read the question and the answers or the MCQs if it's a multiple choice question, then you don't have to read everything to its fullest. If during the very first time that you're going through the question and the options or the different kind of question, if you mark the keywords, your eyes will jump from keyword to keyword instead of reading the entire text every time. And these keywords are also a hint for you to listen to in the audio, because so now let's take this example of the first question or the first answer that you have to give. That is in the reservation form. It says full name for reservation. So you know that the first answer is a noun. It's the name of a person. You have to focus in the audio, wherein the kind of manager or the restaurant owner would ask for the name and the guest would be stating their name. And when it's a noun or a name, they also dictate the spelling so that you don't lose a mark by misspelling it or writing the wrong spelling for the same. So now in this, also the hint is, and the first one, as you read in the question itself, that the word count is a maximum of 2. So in this situation, the first answer, say for example, it's if the name of the person in the recording is John Peters, they would actually go ahead and dictate each letter in the spelling. So the conversation can go the direction of wherein the manager is asking, we have an available table in the evening. So under what name would you like under what name would you like to reserve the table? So the guest could be, my name is John Peters. So the manager can be, okay, I'm repeating your spelling, please make sure it's correct. So they would actually spell it by saying JOHN PETER, and did you say it's a Peters with the S? So they emphasize for the spellings as well. So please make sure that the correct spellings. Otherwise, even if your answer is right and if you misspell it, you wouldn't be marked for it, and you will end up losing a band in the listening test and in the overall IELTS exam. So please make sure that even the spellings are correct. So this again, for the first, as you know, your hint is to look for a name. The second is a contact phone number. So the contact phone number, it would be digits. So please make sure to listen carefully for this. And in the reservation details, the last one it says is number of people, 9 adults plus 2. So it could be 2 children, it could be 2 grandparents, whatever it is. So you know that during the entire length of the conversation, they would be mentioning the head count of the people. And also usually the questions are in a similar chronological order as that of the audio. So the audio and the questions sync in the line, and that's it. So in the multiple choice question, what you need to do is you would be given a question and you need to find the right answers. The first example that you can see on the screen is, it says choose 2 letters A to E. So in the question 7, 8, it is you have 2 separate questions in a single option. So in this question, you have to actually choose 2 options. So there are 2 types of MCQs that kind of come. The first one is in which you have to choose 2 options, and there will be another example after this in which you have to choose the one right answer. So in this situation, it says which 2 starters does a woman choose? So from the option A to E, you have to choose 2 correct ones again. And one of the ways in which they kind of try to confuse you is by rotating the information in the recording. So what do I mean by that? So it would happen, say, for example, in this question number 7 and 8, which says which 2 starters does the woman choose? Say the right answer is A, white bean salad, and D, salmon fritters. Okay, but the conversation can start by saying that a woman says, okay, you know what, I would like to go for the option A, white bean salad, and option E, bread and pesto. And so once you listen to it, you might be okay, the answer is A and E, you mark it and you relax that okay, I've got the 2 answers. But it might so happen that as soon as she says, I would like to go for option A, white bean salad, and E, bread and pesto, and then she would like, okay, once again, did you also say, or did you also mention about salmon fritters? And then the person at the other end would be, yes, we also have very good quality of salmon fritters. So she can rotate the information. So okay, you do one thing, cancel my option for E, that is bread and pesto. I would like to revise my order and go for white bean salad and salmon fritters. So this here, what they try to do is they give you the information or the answer, the hook first, and you got relaxed by saying, okay, I've got the 2 options, these 2 are sorted. But then she comes around and recorrects her answer, which shifts your option from E to D. So you need to be aware even once you get the answers, especially in MCQs, because this is where they kind of play and trick you in this situation. So please always be attentive and do not just relax once you get an answer, because they can rephrase it or they can actually come around and change the very answer that they've given. So please be attentive with that case. This is the first kind of MCQs that you see. And then the second one, as you can see, the question says choose the correct answer, A, B or C. So this is A, B or C. In this situation, you have to just choose one right answer. In this case, now this MCQs become a little difficult to solve. The reason being because there's an extensive amount of reading required. You need to kind of analyze the question. You have to look at all the 3 options. Plus, it might so happen they may paraphrase the option that is the correct answer. So the audio recording might have a statement in a particular way and the answer might be paraphrased. So you have to also decode that at the very same time. So for MCQs, the best way, one of the very big tip in the listening test is keep yourself a little ahead of the recording. What I mean by that is before the next section recording is played, you are given a 2 minutes timeline to kind of go through the next set of questions. So in this 2 minutes or a minute that you get, you should be having a very good reading speed so that you can quickly mark away the keywords that you're looking for. So in this situation, let's look at the question 15, which says, which of the following does the speaker not talk about as bad behavior? In this very question, your keyword is not. That has already been highlighted by keeping it in uppercase and keeping it bold. So please make sure you have to listen to which is not characterized as a bad behavior by the speaker and not what he thinks are bad behaviors. So in this question, so once you get your time, you will be having a pencil in a hand. Quickly, you need to underline speaker not talk about his bad behavior. Option A, playing around near the machines. So playing machines. Option B, being rude to co-workers. Being rude is your keyword, but co-workers is again kind of a keyword in the conversation. They might refer to being rude to somebody else as well, and these two can be two different situations. So option C, gossiping about the manager, gossiping manager. So now when you listen to the recording, you just have to focus on your underlined keywords and not read the entire statement again and again and kind of make it more complex, and this might make you a little nervous. So this is why you need to keep practicing for this. And the biggest strategy for MCQs is underline the keywords in the question as well as the same in the options, so that you're very clear for what the question is. What is the answer you have to look around. So these were two kind of options or two kind of questions under the MCQs itself. The next comes answer the questions or complete the statements in 2 to 3 words. So as you can see on the screen, in this the question says write no more than 2 words for each answer. Again, 2 words, please underline that so that while listening to the audio, you're very clear that questions 11 to 14 will have a maximum word count of 2 as the correct answers. Again, in this 11th question, it says what will speaker talk about at the end of the presentation? So you could quickly underline speaker and presentation. What will the speaker talk about at the end of the presentation? So in this, you have 2 keywords, the speaker and at the end. In the conversation, it might happen that a speaker is referencing to different things at different timelines of the presentation, in the start, in the beginning, before the presentation, after the presentation, but here you're looking for the correct answer would be located in the information for the end of the presentation. What will the speaker be speaking in the end of the presentation? Question 12 says, what will employees get if they don't follow the safety rules? So in this question, your keyword is employees, and as well as don't follow the safety rules. So like this, you need to be able to read the questions very quickly, underline the important keywords so that you're very attentive and you're very aware that what is the kind of information that you're looking for. Because another way in which they kind of try to confuse you is by giving an overload of information. They would give you peripheral information about different things which are actually not required in this set of questions, but that is only to make the audio a little more lengthier, kind of make you to lose your focus. We need to be very smart about this and recognize when there is a little extra information. You could be smart and read the questions further down below or kind of underline it, skim it. And the next one is which says about matching the correct headings with the persons or with the paragraphs. So as you can see on the screen, in this it talks about the kind of set of people and their responsibilities. So this, that you have 4 kind of people to look around and what are the responsibilities. So if you can see, you have 4 people and around 7 options. So that 3 are wrong. So you need to be very attentive for Maureen, Paul, Jason and Kelly. You need to quickly read through all the responsibilities. So the A says keep post-test data. B says helps with test design. C says keeps attendance records. D says information for new students. E says helps with textbooks and equipment. F is notes any changes to the syllabus. G is organizes students into classes. So you need to quickly kind of again underline the keywords. Test data, test design, attendance records, new students, helps with textbook and equipments, any changes, and organizes. So in this situation, you need to look around and your cues in the conversation are the names of the people. You need to be very attentive because once you're listening to the information, as the recording progresses, keep excluding the options which are not being said. And once you are kind of confident about, say, Maureen's responsibilities, like Maureen helps with textbooks and equipment, write it down, cancel that option directly in front of your eyes from the question paper, so that your eyes do not have to go through the option E again. That's already been sorted. Okay, so now let's look at some of the ways that they can use to confuse you. The first one is, as I mentioned in the earlier conversation, they might give an answer first and then kind of rephrase or relook at the answer, given another option. Like in the one when we discussed about the woman talking about the different options about the salmon fritters, so in which she said, I would go for the option A and E first, and then later on talked about A and D. So you need to be very aware. They might, even this happens in certain situations, and say if it's a wayfinding question, it might happen that fill in the tables. There are two people. There's one who is asking for directions. So the one who is giving the directions may end up saying, what? You're looking for this particular shop. From here, you need to go straight, take the first left, walk a little down at the second junction. That's where your shop is. But then he could revisit the answer saying that, oh, did I see the first left? No, I'm sorry, actually it's the first right. So you need to be very aware that they can change the answer down the line in the conversation. So please be very aware about that. The second one is they can give unnecessary information. They could actually have some kind of parallel information going, which is not of much importance to the questions. So be attentive. The third is they could actually also be putting some background noise or disturbances. Say, for example, it's about a conversation between two people standing in a marketplace. They could actually put in some background noise for cars honking or somebody talking in the background. So in this, they kind of are playing and tricking you to get confused. Please do not be confused. Practice listening to such audios and focus and concentrate on the main conversation itself. Now that is some of the ways they can trick you, and now there are some tips so that you don't get tricked into that. The first one is you need to learn to read quickly, be able to skim the questions and the options, especially in the MCQ sections, because what happens is in the MCQ you have to read the question. First of all, you have to read the instruction, say choose any two options or just single option. You read that, keep that in mind. Next comes the question itself. Then you have to read all three or the four or the five options that you have, as well as you have to keep listening to the audio for the conversation. So practice for MCQs, and as I mentioned, keep underlining the keywords which you feel would be very important or the hooking factors for the conversation in the audio recording. So the second one is stay ahead of the audio. This is again very important. What I mean by staying ahead of the audio recording is usually before the next section starts, they give you time for a minute or two to go through the next set of questions. So be fast. The pause, if it's for say a minute and it says you have 1 minute to go through questions 1 to 5. So make a point to go through questions 1 to 10. Quickly underline the important keywords. If it's an MCQ, even the keywords in the options. If it's a fill in the blanks, look at the answers, anticipate the kind of conversation so that you're ahead of the audio recording. And once the recording starts, you already know what to expect and what is where in the order of the questions, because as I mentioned, the conversation recording and the questions are in a similar sequence. It's never the other way around, or it's never jumping here and there. The third one is, as I mentioned many times during this episode, underline the keywords to listen in the audio. It's very important because you don't have to read the question every time. You need to just look at the keyword, hook to it, find that or anticipate that, look for where the information is, bam, that's your answer. That's about it. You solve, you get a mark for that. The fourth one is be prepared to listen to synonyms of those words. It might happen that in the question they have used a different word, and in the conversation it's a different word but with the same meaning. So expand your vocabulary level, expand your vocabulary range. This will not only help you in your listening test but also in a writing as well as speaking test, because in the writing test, in the essay section, you might be giving the same point from a different context, but if you use different words for the same thing, it actually works in our favor. It shows the examiner that okay, this candidate has a very good vocabulary range, and they can use different words for the same meaning. So make sure you increase the vocabulary range. It leaves a very good impression on the examiner. The fifth is try to practice the statement or the answer according to the conversation. As I mentioned in the very first tip, when you're reading quickly, you need to also be able to anticipate the same. And the number 6 is please do not panic if you miss anything. For example, you were just listening to a conversation and the question was an MCQ. In the last question, you kind of were not able to find the answer and you became nervous and your focus got a little disturbed and your concentration went from the audio to actually the questions and think, okay, what would be the answer? Okay, no, the conversation at this point, it mentioned point A as well as B, but B was kind of vague, but A is kind of more concrete. In that thinking process and you kind of narrowing to the correct answer, you missed a conversation which was your very next answer. Please do not panic, do not get nervous. You have missed one. Regain the confidence, take a deep breath very quickly, focus on the next question, and once the audio recording is done, do a guesswork. That shouldn't be a problem, because if you kind of become nervous and carry that forward to the further questions, instead of losing marks for one question, you would end up missing 2 or 3, which could be disastrous for you, and you might hamper your score in the listening test and the overall score in the IELTS test altogether. So this was from my end, from my own experience, from what are the kind of strategies that I used to gain a good score in IELTS test. I hope you found value in this, and it was really something that you can hook on to, practice the same and get a higher marks. I would definitely like to wish you all the best for your test, and if you have anything more in related to IELTS or anything else, please do let me know on Instagram and Facebook. The handles are the Student Insights Podcast. You can also mention that down in the comment section. I would make it a point to reply to you to the best of my ability. And if I do not have an answer, I'll definitely guide you towards a more authentic and a genuine link that will provide you more good information about it. If you think I've overlooked something, please do mention that down in the comment section, as well as you can tell me on Instagram and Facebook. I'll make it a point to kind of answer you there on social media and also cover it in the further coming episodes. So these were some of the tips, the kind of questions that are asked in the IELTS test, some of the ways that I do confuse you, and some of the ways and methods that you can improve yourself and be more prepared for listening test. I hope you found value in this particular episode. If you liked it, if you found little value, please do like it. It really makes me more, it gives me positive vibes and motivates me to produce more good content. Also do subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification so that you get notified as soon as the next video is uploaded. You are aware, because next week I would be covering the reading test, after that writing, then speaking. So please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The handles are the Student Insights Podcast. Well, that's about it for this episode. See you next week. Till then, I would like to wish you the best of luck if you are preparing for IELTS test or you're preparing for the same. And I wish you all the best for your student journey as well. Till then, stay safe, stay positive, stay happy. Bye-bye.